You know what's coming.
Your daily deep dive into everything Utah Jazz.
It's time.
All season long and even in the offseason, it's Jazz Daily with JJ and Alex on your exclusive home of Utah Jazz basketball. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, everybody, welcome back. JJ and Alex, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Thanks for being with us on the program. So good to hear that John Tesh Classic, because it means we're closer and closer to the NBA kicking off again, and it's going to kick off tonight. The league starts games back up after the All-Star break, and the Utah Jazz will be playing tomorrow at Memphis. Joining us already in Memphis, he is Big T Thurl Bailey. Big T, thanks for being with us, man.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Oh, we're just trying to get back into basketball.
Ready for some hoop.
Oh, I mean, we are dying at this point. I like the Olympics, but you know how it is. Like, are you that type of way where you're like, let's get back going with this thing? I can only be at home and hang out so much. I got to get back in the groove here.
Well, you know, the All-Star weekend is not just for the players either. It's you know.
It's for you guys.
It's for us, too. We get to take a little break, maybe go somewhere and play a little golf. So, yeah, I mean, it's nice to get a break. I mean, I remember as a player, it was nice it wasn't as long of a break, but it's nice to get back in. I know my wife is happy I'm back into it, not her way, but yeah, it's good to kind of get right back into the groove.
Well, it was a break, but there wasn't a lot of break in NBA talk. There was a lot of discussion specifically about tanking. I'm sure you heard it. You may have your opinions on it, but what was your reaction to the Jazz kind of getting targeted and being made an example of with this issue?
You know, I try not to. I let the business of basketball, the people who deal with that. You know, my job is really to talk about the guys who are on the floor, guys who are playing, and you know, I think when it boils down to it. Listen, the NBA obviously is part of creating the whole scenario. So we'll see what happens down the road. But, yeah, you know, my job is to just call the game as the players go out. I mean, I may have my opinions, but you know, they don't really have any bearing on anything. But, you know, the team that goes out and plays, I know these guys want to win. They want to win badly. And so, look, the Jazz have made some bold moves for the future of this franchise, and I'm one of those guys who trust that they know what they're doing, and the fans understand where we're headed. So that's how I approach it.
Big T, you're in Memphis, of course, for the Jazz and the Grizzlies, and of course they just made a deal happen not that far away from the All-Star break, and you got to see Jaren Jackson Jr. for a couple of games before he had surgery to end the season. And obviously the good news is it's a surgery I think that they were like, hey, we feel great about this, getting ahead of it, and he's going to be right back to himself. And so I think people feel good about the decision to be able to kind of take care of that long-term care. In those couple of games, though, what are Jazz fans getting? Obviously they've seen him here play as a Grizzly, but what are they getting with that guy, and what do you think of that add to this roster?
Well, you're right. Jazz fans know what they're getting. I mean, I like everyone else I don't even know the right word for it. You know, when you can acquire a guy like that who is one, he's a winner, and you know, and I kind of watched him grow up. My career crossed paths with his dad's career for a few years, and I think it just makes a bold statement for this franchise that, look, we've got assets that we've built up, and now we're ready to make some bold moves. And you can't get any bolder than bringing a guy who is one of the best defensive players in the league, a guy who can stretch the floor in his own way. He's kind of an anomaly, similar to what Lowry is with what he does. You know, he's a guy that can guard multiple positions. He can score at all levels. And so I think it says something when you make a deal like that. And that's for the injury. I mean, you know, obviously health is priority. And not that he probably couldn't have played more with it, but why risk it? if it's something you can get done now. We've seen what he can do in just a few games without really knowing the scheme of what the Jazz are going. He's just out playing basketball, and he's going to love the team. He's going to love the coaching staff, and I'm excited. I'm excited to see him be a part of something really, really great.
Yeah, seeing him in a Jazz uniform 3 times before he had to shut it down was really exciting for everybody, and you got to see him up close and personal. What did you see in those 3 games? What did you observe that has you excited about what he can do with the pairing with Lauri Markkanen and the rest of this team?
Well, I think if you knew him well, you knew his game well, and you see him enough times against the Jazz, you know how he can punish you. And he's one of those guys that you've got to come up with defensive schemes because not one player can guard him. He's also a guy who, I've already kind of touted it as the Wasatch front court. When you put he and Lowry and Nurk and potentially, Walker Kessler out there to play, it's a front line that is going to kind of shake up things, I think, around the league. So he can post, he can shoot the 3, he can put the ball on the floor, he can pass the ball. I mean, I think all it's about now is Coach Will Hardy coming up with how to best utilize what he does well along with other guys. And I think Will's been really good at that and how to set guys up to be who they are and not limit what they can do.
Big T, Thurl Bailey joining us on the program here as we talk about this Utah Jazz team. We're getting back into action, going to be firing it up tomorrow right here on your dial, by the way, to listen to the radio call of that Jazz and Grizzlies game. But, Big T, we were talking about this before. JJ and I have been going back and forth talking about this also, where it's like, hey, it's awesome to get those great defenders because, man, this team needs defense. It's been a rough go, and I know that Will Hardy wants those guys playing so much defense. It just is so hard in this league to defend against such great talent. But how do you go from being the worst scoring, giving up the defense, giving up the most points in the history of any team at this point right now, and then just saying, hey, now we're going to get this Jaren Jackson Jr. That doesn't solve all the issues. How do you teach these young guys who've gotten good at scoring to be even better defenders?
I think they've improved defensively. I think when you look at how young this team was last year and how these young players have continued to grow, Cody Williams, I think, has made a huge jump. And the reason he's made his jump is because he is focused on the defensive end. Bryce Sensabaugh, I think we all know he has a knack for scoring, but his defense has gotten better because it to him it had to get better for him to get minutes. And so I think the onus on these guys individually to be better defenders on ball has forced them to really focus on that. The offense is going to come. And so a guy like Isaiah Collier, I mean, all these guys have work to do, even the vets. But I think when you go out knowing that defense is a priority, you're not just going to go out there and get the ball, have plays run to you, that you've got to earn minutes other ways. And I think when you add those other elements, like a Jaren Jackson Jr. or a healthy Walker Kessler, it puts more responsibility on you not to just rely on those guys to do what they do, because a lot of really good teams in this league make threes. And so I think the defense starts on ball, and a lot of these guys have really jumped and improved in that category.
After this Jaren Jackson Jr. trade, you look ahead and you mentioned, I'm sure that's going to stick, this Wasatch front idea of that front court, and it really extends the entire lineup, Big T, because you're going to have a 6'4" point guard in Keontae George, a 6'8" two guard basically in Ace Bailey, and then you can throw out 3 7-footers in the other spots. How important is it to have a lineup like that to be able to compete with all the other teams in the Western Conference who are also gifted with size?
It really is important. I think that sometimes, look, the stars in this league, the guys who can put up buckets night after night, are vital. But I think even just as vital are the role players you put around them. You look at what OKC did last year, and you look at the year before. I mean, the teams that win rings are really good defensive teams. And they have the guys that can score. Look, Lowry can score. Keontae can score. Triple J is going to be able to score. But you've got to have those pieces around them that can come off. They're not going to have great nights every night. But I think what happens is the others, as people call them, the guys who come in and play those alpha dog roles, those roles that maybe not get a lot of print, but they're just as important. And so I think when you talk about that lineup, yeah, it's powerful. I think there's no question that it's going to be a great look and it's going to be successful, but it's not the end-all, be-all. You've got to have other guys around that are going to have their nights. The Bryce Sensabaughs, the Isaiah Colliers, who is the past first point guard. And the combination of those guys mixed in with, your high-powered scorers like a Lowry.
I think that one of the things that stinks about all the tanking stuff has been, I think it's at the detriment of trying to develop guys, right? But that's been something that Will Hardy's been so focused on. How do you strike a balance of that, as Coach Hardy is tasked with that, of you got your guys who are very, very good. You got guys who they have to make a decision on what this is going to look like in the future. How do you strike that balance as you put lineups together if you're Will Hardy?
It's tough. It's really tough. I mean, even going back a little bit before that, I mean, the business of basketball is what it is. It's a tough business. Players get traded. I walked into the hotel, and the first person I walked up to was Walter Clayton Jr. He was just a member of our team. He's a great kid. I think he's going to have a great future. But, the business of basketball is you have to make these tough decisions to get to the ultimate goal. And you don't know if all of them will work or they're right, but you've got to trust your experience and you've got to go with your gut sometimes. I mean, I'm not in that war room, but I would think that the guys in that war room have been there, and you trust that they know what they're doing. And so Coach Will Hardy also has a job to do. His job is to put the guys out on the court to win games and get better and develop players. And I think he's been doing a great job at that. And they've committed to him, for the long haul. It's a tough haul, but I know he's the right guy for the job. I watch him with these players and develop. I watch him get on these guys and talk to them about, improving and putting their teammates first. So, yeah, he's got a tough job. There's no question about it because he wants to win. Everybody wants to win. And so there's got to be some patience involved. But, I think Will is going in the right direction as I watch these individual guys. I mean, look at what Isaiah Collier's doing. The guy comes out with Keontae hurt, and he understands this league now. He understands what he needs to do to be successful.
You talk about Isaiah Collier, last 10 games before the break, 15.5 points per game, 10.4 assists. And we talk about some of these young players. Who's going to be a part of what this team looks like moving forward after this trade? Who's going to be in the rotation and all those things? Isaiah Collier's made a pretty good case. What have you seen from him lately? The increase in his numbers, some of the growth in his game. What have you observed?
Well, I think what I observed even before Walter Clayton Jr. was traded, there's always an internal competitiveness, right? Guys are always looking for minutes, always looking to break into the rotation. And when you have 3 point guards with kind of different skills, right? You've got a scoring point guard, and you've got a guy like Isaiah Collier, who's a pass-first guy, but he's very physical Keontae, they look for him to score, and that's his job. But he's also a guy who has learned how to, to distribute. But I think when Walter Clayton Jr. was traded, it kind of opened up a little. I think it made Isaiah Collier kind of exhale a little bit. Now, they were great teammates, but when that happens, there's going to be more responsibility and onus on you, and that's exactly what happened. And you've got to go out and perform because you're probably going to get those minutes. And I think he's just stepped up to the plate. He hasn't hesitated. He's come out. He's not tried to be anything other than who he is. And his confidence is high. I watch him shoot threes now, and he feels like he's going to make them. Last year I wouldn't have said that, but he's become just a more physical player. He knows he's good, and that's the first part of it. So I love the way that he's been developed and the way the coaches have really brought him along.
Utah Jazz first week back into the next portion of this NBA season. You guys obviously down there at Memphis, and then on Monday going to Houston, and then coming back home for the Pelicans. That's the first week of the Jazz coming right back into their own and into their schedule. And Big T, Thurl Bailey, joining us on the program. We appreciate all your insights as always, Big T, and thanks for joining us on the program, man, and thanks for doing it on the road. It means a ton, man.
Anytime, guys. Appreciate it.
There you go.
Thanks, Big T.
Thurl Bailey.